Did you see where Snoop had stated that he had a meeting with Dionne Warwick back in the day, and that his words were that she outgangstered him. Did you see that article? Did you see
Oh man,
what
that's my
she was talking
nigga.
about?
Man, I said I wasn't gonna do it in 2023. Wasn't gonna call him out no more. So I'm gonna try to be nice with it. I read that article, I saw it, and it's on CNN, so it's for whiter world, and so he's supposed to be a little nicer then. And he was saying something nice to really compliment Miss Ward. I remember coming from that meeting. She asked Suge a question because I was there, but I didn't go inside. Um, I stayed outside to be honest. And because I knew we was flying, because I remember rushing back to the airport because we was all going to New York for something. Forget what it was. But we was flying and we rushed back to the airport to go to New York. And so Suge was laughing when he got on the phone. I mean, on the plane, and he was like, Dionne asked me something. And he said, didn't you know already? And I said, how would she know? She said, ain't she the psychic woman? Ain't she supposed to know it? Isn't she already supposed to know it? Don't she supposed to have psychic? And so we laughed about that the whole time. But they had a lot of respect for Dionne Warwick. But Ms. Warwick was an agent, y'all. Who was her record label? Warner Brothers. Who was Suge and Interscope and all of them in business with at the time? Time Warner. So all this meeting came above about the lyrics and all of that. Like I told y'all, Jimmy and them didn't care about us calling our black women bees and all of that and hoes and all of that. But when they said, a Jew bitch, it was money being cut to get that off the album. $1 million got cut off for that to be removed from the song. But Miss Warwick was teaming up with the C. Dolores Tucker at that time. That's the one that Tupac later, when he came to Death Row, because all of this happened pre to Tupac coming to Death Row, he was still on Interscope, which who her major fight was Interscope, but Death Row, of course, being their biggest black urban act. And so that's why Tupac did in his song, what, You Wonder Why We Call You Bitch, Miss C. Dolores Tucker. And so they were going to Time Warner board meetings. Dionne and C. Dolores Tucker were teamed up with Bob Doyle and the vice president at the time, Dan Quayle, I think it was. And they were going at Time Warner, and Time Warner was trying to get into what business, y'all? Because they were just a music company and all of that then. Movies, Warner Brothers and all that. They were trying to get into cable. Cable TV starting to be big in the mid-90s. And so what they did is they went to board meetings, Dionne Warwick and Dolores Tucker, and they were going there and they bought shares in the Warner Brothers to go to the meetings. Talking about, y'all got to get rid of these guys saying this and saying that and doing all of this. And Time Warner had just gave Jimmy and Interscope 50% for 50% of their company, $150 million. And Time Warner was like, oh, y'all can't be doing this. Y'all gonna have to disassociate yourselves from Death Row and all of that because these women, they causing all this problem. And Dan Quayle is saying, y'all are not going to get this cable deal passed through Congress and Bob Doyle and them in the Senate if y'all still got this type of material coming out. And so that's why. And then Suge eventually, because they were trying to take the company or get rid of Death Row and Tupac and Ice-T and all of them. But where they messed up at was the president, the CEO, his name was something Fuchs, Michael Fuchs, something Fuchs, who was running Time Warner at the time. He called Suge and was like, Suge, I'll give you $75 million and 2 state-of-the-art studios to buy Death Row and give you a job. But Suge was being loyal to Jimmy and them, which I wonder if he still do this move. And called and show Suge, and he's sitting on the runway. I remember Suge and I was on the way to the airport to meet with the guy on the runway in Burbank at a private airport. And he kept blowing Suge up. And Suge was like, oh, I'm on my way, I'm on my way, I'm on my way. But the whole time he on the phone with Jimmy, telling Jimmy what they sent him. He said, get it in writing. Jimmy told him, have him fax that deal over. Tell him you're going to sign it and fax it over. And they sent that deal over and faxed it over to Suge in writing. Guess what Jimmy did? That's why I always say, that's why I be on Jimmy head. You owe Suge, Jimmy. You know you and Ted Fields would have lost. Anyway. Fucking Jimmy called Fuchs and said, got this contract. Guess what you just did? You interfering with a person that I got a contract with. You contractor interfering. Jimmy was able to get half of his company back and that $150 million back because, and then that's when he eventually go and sign the deal. That's why, y'all don't notice, the Dog Pound came out on Priority Records, not Universal Music Group. Or Time Warner Music Group, which Murder Was the Case and all that came out on, and Doggy Style. But Suge ended up taking the show on that. And even Island, we still didn't have a deal yet, where they went, and Tupac album came out on what? Island Records. But all of this was going on during that time, and that's how Suge was able to get out of this deal with Time Warner and got Interscope as well out of the deal so they wouldn't get dropped and got their money back from the deal that they had just did with Time Warner and Warner Brothers. But that's all around this meeting and Miss Dionne Warwick and C. Dolores Tucker going making problems at the board members with Warner Chapel. So just give you a little history on our Black Queen and all of that as Snoop wanted to call her, which, shout out Miss Warren, but that's what they were doing back then. But to show you how my boy Snoop Dogg be rewriting history and saying stuff, in that article or in that interview y'all gonna see, it's supposed to be airing on CNN sometime. I don't know if it aired yet or what, on this documentary that CNN doing on Miss Warwick. Snoop says she taught him and made him stop using and looking and saying words towards females after that song. God damn, really, Snoop? Really? You wasn't in that video with Tupac calling women the same old hoes and talking on that video, rapping on that song with Tupac? You didn't do a song with Exhibit in 2000 and I ain't even, this meeting took place in 1995. Why they call you bitch? No, I already said that. No, Bitch Please with Exhibit in 2001 or 2000. So, I just said how Snoop double talks because I can think of a few songs just off the top of my head, like Bitch Please that he did, and Groupies. And I know of a song he did with Pac about same old hoes, about the video or something like that, All About You. And I'm sure y'all can come up with other songs that he did talking about females and black women in particular. And so, like I said, it sounds good. I'm glad he saying that and using up one of his lives with God to make Miss Warwick look good and like she was a savior. But yeah, by evidence of Pac and the lawsuit with, that Miss Dolores Tucker eventually sued all Death Row and Tupac and Interscope it show you that that meeting didn't change Death Row or way of thinking or doing business. And even though Snoop just said himself, but he wouldn't have got on the song with Pop talking about females, and he wouldn't have did a song with Exhibit called Bitch Please, and Groupies, and Bomb Ass Pussy, and stuff like that if that meeting, and I'm sure there's other songs, I just can't think of them off the top of my head. So yeah. But I did hear the interview, John.